A right wing that embraces its own fringes will end up in the same position as a left wing that has embraced
so that's
fringes.
why I want to get into it. Embraces.
Yes.
So now, having spoken to Tucker, I actually see that interview very differently. And I did listen to the interview, and I knew what Nick Fuentes was. And I think he did show himself to be who he is. It wasn't his most vile stuff, but you got the feel for what this guy was. But I really think Tucker was talking to him, Ben, to put like a bumper on this guy. Because what Tucker was urging him the whole time was to understand that collective punishment for any one group of people is wrong. It's deeply immoral and it's anti-Christian, which this guy is supposed to be, and reminding him of how deeply immoral that is, that you should not be looking at a group of people, whomever it is. The left does it to everyone, whites mostly, but like this collective shame, white men in particular. And there's a group of people like Nick Fuentes that does it to groups of Jews. And he was making the case throughout the whole interview in the way that Tucker does. He's not like you or me. He's not like pointed and cross-examining.
That is not true.
And was making...
That is fundamentally untrue.
No.
Senator Ted Cruz whether that is true.
He gave it to Ted Cruz because Ted Cruz is a politician.
That's, yeah. Well, hold on. So only politicians get...
See, it's the problem here. Obviously reacting to Ben Shapiro still crying about Tucker Carlson interviewing Nick Fuentes because we do not accept the fringes in our party. At this point, Ben, you are the fringe. Everything you do is for Israel. It has nothing to do with America. And Megyn Kelly is trying to play the, I could be friends with everybody game, not realizing that, Nick is crushing Ben right now. And he's right about these Israel first policies. So, I don't know. They probably have a long history, these two. They look friendly sitting up there, cordial that is, but Megyn shouldn't be backpedaling on behalf of Ben Shapiro's feelings. Facts don't care about your feelings, Ben.
Cross-examined?
You don't, well, look, it depends on the person.
Tucker would never cross-examine a person who is not a politician. That's his rule?
Tucker has excoriated public figures who purport to speak for us and represent us for many years. Nick Fuentes is a podcaster civilian.
Okay, I just have a question. We all in our industry are constantly excoriating people who are in our industry. It happens all the time, every single day.
Okay.
Again,
but we're talking about his
we
interviews.
can agree to disagree on your interpretation of what Tucker was doing there. I think everybody should watch and determine for themselves what they think Tucker was doing in that interview. And I urge you to watch it back to back with the Ted Cruz interview.
I don't know if Ben should recommend that, because what's going to happen is all these people are going to go back and watch the Nick Fuentes Tucker Carlson interview and see that, oh my God, Nick has a lot of very valid points about Israel controlling the politics on both the Republican side and the Democrat side. I might have got those sides flipped up just now, but for you guys, that'll look right, left. Yeah. So bad advice by Ben.
Determine whether you think that was an aggressive Tucker Carlson interview, and you can judge for yourself.
I didn't say it was aggressive.
I
didn't say it was aggressive, and I don't think he would say it was aggressive.
And I think
his point was, this guy, first of all, he's become a behemoth, sadly. He's got 5 million...
Why sadly? Clearly, he's saying something that is resonating to a large group of people, right? And it's largely about Israel running politics in the United States. That is Nick's primary talking point. He may say some things here and there to stir the pot, but usually what I've seen is a smirk on his face, sarcasm. I mean, and that's exactly what they want. That's what the mainstream and the legacy, and in this case, Ben is legacy. Megyn Kelly's used to be legacy, still acts like it sometimes. But yeah, so these guys are acting as if legacy media used to. They'll latch on to the one radical thing you said, whether it was a joke or not, and then try to smear you.
Viewers on Rumble. He's got 1 million followers on X.
I agree.
This is all before Tucker Carlson. And he was platformed, I hate that verb, but he was platformed by Patrick Bet-David. And he went on Dave Smith's show, and he went on another big show. He's been getting more and more purchase in the political ecosphere, including right wing.
And I think that's
Patrick Bet-David has a huge show. I know, but did you know that Patrick Bet-David had him on? Did his life blow up?
Patrick Bet-David did a significantly more aggressive interview with Nick Fuentes than Tucker did.
Okay, but my point is simply he's growing. He's growing in stature. And so what I saw Tucker do was not whitewash his ideas, but try to put bumpers up on the guy. I know Tucker well, and I think that was his approach. And the way, if you want to put a bumper up on Nick Fuentes, is it helpful to say, You're fucking vile. You're an anti-Semite.
Yes.
No, it isn't.
Yes, it
that
is.
doesn't put a.
Yes, it
no,
is.
it isn't. That makes
Oh, I'm gonna let Megan finish her point.
Yes,
the
it
audience feel good because you have hand-to-hand combat, but it doesn't help change that guy's view or his extremeness at all.
It doesn't make the audience feel good. It might make your Israeli base feel good, but it doesn't make MAGA types or conservatives feel good. If you just call somebody an anti-Semite, they're gonna be like, that's the same as calling me racist for the last 2 decades. I don't care. You cannot cancel me. I do not care. When you resort to ad hominem attacks, it's because you no longer have a stake in the argument. You have no counter argument. You have no points to make. So yeah, you want Tucker to have Nick Fuentes on and call him an anti-Semite or a radical, and then what? The interview goes more viral, and Nick probably comes out on top. Honestly, Tucker handled it fairly well.
Okay, I'll tell you what doesn't change Nick Fuentes' view. Tucker Carlson with his arm around Nick Fuentes, grinning for the camera, while Nick Fuentes tweets out America first, and then triumphantly goes on the air the next day to explain that he has essentially used Tucker Carlson as a vehicle for manipulating other people. Okay, that's what Nick Fuentes is saying, not me, Nick Fuentes. Okay, and Nick Fuentes.
Show me the
by
clip.
way, I will again say that Tucker Carlson, when you say to somebody in an interview, do you condemn anti-Semitism? And then the person says, sure, which is what Nick Fuentes said. He said, I'm not an anti-Semite, which is blatantly untrue.
Yeah.
A responsible journalist would then follow up, demonstrating that that is false. Tucker did not do that. He allowed him to get away with that. And then he allowed him to talk about, quote unquote, organized Jewry, followed by Nick Fuentes being treated to a disquisition by Tucker Carlson about why Christian Zionists of all human beings on earth are the people that he hates the most.
He took that back.
You can't take that back.
You
How do
can
you take
too.
that back?
He did.
How?
Because he went. He
Then
spoke
he
to.
should
No.
explain why it was wrong. He should explain why Christian Zionists are actually wonderful people.
Tucker is very quick to self-flagellate, and he went on with Dave Smith the next day, the next week, whatever, Monday, Tuesday this week, and said, that was stupid. I didn't mean that. He said, I'm angry at people like Lindsey Graham. I'm angry at people like Ted Cruz because he thinks they run headfirst in these conflicts and they don't think about what's going to happen to American kids.
Hold up. If we're talking about firing inside the tent, everything Lindsey Graham, okay, and I'm not a huge Lindsey Graham fan. He votes with the president of the United States 100% of the time, and Tucker spent yesterday's show
I don't care if Lindsey Graham votes with Trump 100% of the time. I still cannot stand Lindsey Graham and would love to see him primary in South Carolina. So Ben's point, I don't give a shit about. That's a bad example, Ben.
Parading him as a psychosexual death worshiper. Does that sound like firing outside the tent? Again, these are the questions.
I'm not offended.
Again, the questions that I'm asking here, I'm not asking you to do anything, Megan.
No, I know.
Okay.
I know.
I'm not.
Our beef is not with each other.
I'm not. Okay. When I draw a line with regard to what I believe Tucker Carlson is doing to the conservative movement and what he is fomenting, that is because that is my info. And everyone can make their own decision as to whether they think that I am right or whether I'm wrong and where they choose to draw the line with regard to the conservative movement. The question for me is always whether somebody's statements are forwarding moral values that I think are worthwhile. I did not get into this business for the money or for the clicks. You didn't either.
Neither did he.
What was that?
Neither did he.
I mean, he may not have. That's fine. I certainly did not. I'm only going to speak for myself. And what that means for me is that if I see somebody breach basic moral values by having on a Nazi, and in my own view, you can take your own view, in my own view, gloss the Nazi, then I'm going to speak out about that. And I'm going to point out that there is a long pattern of him ideologically laundering terrible ideas over the course of the last 2 years, ranging from traveling to Russia to sniff the bread and explain why the Russian regime is actually wonderful, to saying last week that the Venezuelan regime of Nicolas Maduro is actually not that bad because they're being attacked by, in his words, globo homo.
Tucker's made the point. I'm not going to here to be Tucker's.
Ben, you should go debate Tucker. Debate Tucker if you got a problem with Tucker. Don't do this secondhand talking to Megan on behalf of Israel. The problem and the quick point on Russia, I mean, is Ben trying to say that we should indefinitely fund Ukraine? The American taxpayer should fit the bill? Like, there's nothing wrong with going and interviewing a guy. Platforming is not a thing. He's going to do what he wants regardless of an interview or not, right? So Ben's biggest issue here is that within the conservative and MAGA movement, we have questions. We're not this echo chamber like Democrats that vote in lockstep no matter what, vote blue no matter who. Absolutely not. Fuck that. We vote based on each issue. If you're a snake in the grass, we're going to call you out. That's all there is to it. So we don't need to be in lockstep with you on Russia, Israel, healthcare. That's not how it works on the conservative side. If that's how you feel, you should switch parties.
Defender, but he's made the point that Maduro is culturally conservative.
Who gives a shit? The guy's a communist dictator. Everyone in his country is eating dog. He's shipping fentanyl to the United States to kill Americans. Why do I give a shit whether he's
Can we take a moment to look at the way Ben is holding that mic? I know I just talked about ad hominem attacks, but what in the hell is that? Why is he holding it like this?
anti-LGBTQ rights? This is the number one thing about Nicolas Maduro. You know how far down the list you have to get before you can get to anything remotely recommendable about Nicolas Maduro?
I did ask him yesterday about the criticism that he didn't give Nick Fuentes a hard time, right? He didn't bring up the stuff that we were talking about. No, he didn't. And here's what he said. It seemed to think that we've way overstated the number of Jews killed in the Holocaust. He's ripped on poor Usha Vance in the most offensive terms, which I mean, so what do you say to those people? Say, why didn't you raise any of that?
You know, do your own interview the way that you want to do it. You're not my editor. Buzz off. I mean, I don't know. You want to go yell at Nick Fuentes? I'll give you his cell. Call him and go sit and yell at him and feel virtuous or whatever. That's up to you.
I agree with him. I agree with him. He did the interview that he wanted to do for a reason.
What's the reason, Ben? What is Tucker's ultimate objective? We always got to have some hidden agenda in the background, this mysterious dark cloud that is upon the conservative movement because you say so. Yeah, he did the interview he wanted because it was his interview. You have Nick on and you debate him in the House of Ideas and prove that you're better. Anyway, if you made it this far, you're a real one. I'll catch you next time.